Greetings, fellow cultivators. Welcome back to PandaAudioBooks, your sanctuary for the pursuit of power and the truth. Today, we delve into chapters 171 through 175 of Pursuit of the Truth. Su Ming's bloodline has awakened, and with it, a resonance that shakes the very foundation of his soul. But in the world of the berserkers, power is like a fire in the night. It provides warmth, but it also draws the attention of predators lurking in the dark. As Su Ming begins to master the arts of his ancestors, the eyes of the land of South Morning are starting to turn toward him. Let the cultivation begin. Chapter 171. Chapter 171. Another Promise. Su Ming closed his eyes and calmed his emotions. He opened one of the embroidered boxes, and the moment the box was opened, a medicinal fragrance wafted into his nose. That fragrance was very light, but the moment he smelled it, he seemed to hear a song played by an unknown instrument. The melody of the song lingered in the air and sounded very musical. It made those who heard it think that this melody could only be played by a flute made in heaven. After a long while, Su Ming looked into the embroidered box and saw 3 herbs lying inside. These herbs looked odd. They looked like tree branches, but there were small little holes on them. The musical melody he heard was not an illusion, but was formed when wind blew past the many holes on the herb. Sky Flute Branch. Su Ming lifted his right hand and slapped it on the herbs. Immediately, the 3 sky flute branches, along with the embroidered box, disappeared from his hand as he put them away into his storage bag. He looked towards the second box and his breathing grew heavier. Even though he knew that the map inside the box may not be complete, it was still a ray of hope. He placed his hand slowly on the embroidered box, and just as he was about to open it, "If you open that box, then you must cure Fang Mu." A delicate voice appeared by Su Ming's side. An elegant, dim fragrance also came along with that voice. That fragrance might have appeared after the medicinal fragrance brought by Sky Flute Branch, but the two gave people 2 distinctly different impressions. The medicinal fragrance was like oranges, and the other was like a dream. Su Ming's expression remained passive. No changes could be seen on it. He had long since discovered Han Kangzi's arrival and did not stop due to her words. He calmly opened the embroidered box and saw a folded beast skin inside. A conflicted look appeared in Su Ming's eyes as he stared at the beast skin. All of a sudden, he lost the courage to look at it. He was afraid that what he would see would be different from what he knew. He was afraid that there would be no dark mountain in the world. Han Kangzi walked softly to stand before the man in the mask and sat down cross-legged to quietly look at him. She saw the conflict that was clear in his eyes. They did not speak. After remaining in silence for a while, Su Ming lifted the beast skin from the embroidered box and focused his attention on it once he unfolded it. "Are you disappointed?" Han Kangzi asked softly. Her voice was very gentle, arousing an indescribable feeling within those who heard it. Her voice was just like her. She was a delicate beauty, but the strength in her heart far surpassed many men. Su Ming looked at the map spread out before him. It was incredibly detailed. Not only did it include the topography of the area around Han Mountain, even the surrounding areas were drawn out in detail. From the map, it could be seen that the land of South Morning was a vast territory. However, while the map was detailed, it was not what Su Ming had wanted. He closed his eyes and fell silent. In truth, he himself knew that the map he wanted was not what a middle-sized tribe could provide. Yet his knowledge and expectations were 2 different matters. Somewhat. At that moment, his heart was as conflicted as how his eyes looked just now. He wanted to see the map he yearned to see, but deep down he did not want to. This mixed feeling stemmed from the bewilderment he had buried deep within his heart. You can only look at the map. You cannot take it away. A pitying look appeared in Han Kangzi's gaze as she looked at Su Ming and spoke softly. "I know." Su Ming opened his eyes. He did not look at Han Kangzi, but looked at the sky that had darkened. He did not know that as of then, in Han Kangzi's eyes, he looked lonely. "You once said that if someday I remember something, I can come to you," Su Ming mumbled. "Yes," Han Kangzi whispered back. They fell into silence again. This time, the silence lasted for a tad longer. The moon appeared in the darkened sky, and glittering stars surrounded it. The wind swept past the land and lifted Han Kangzi's black hair. As her hair flew, it gave her another sort of beauty underneath the moonlight. What did you see? Su Ming broke the silence and asked. Han Kangzi did not speak. She bit her lips instead and looked at Su Ming. There was an appealing light in her eyes. She looked at him for a long while before she came to a decision. Can you promise me something? The moment the word promise left her mouth and fell into Su Ming's ears, he felt shaken. This feeling could not be controlled by his calmness. It was a feeling that no matter how deeply he hid it and how hard he tried to bury it, it would still trigger his sadness because of certain things and certain words. At that moment, that wound of his was torn and it turned into a sadness that flooded Su Ming's entire body and soul like a tidal wave. He looked as he usually was, but no one knew how his heart fared. However, even though Han Kangzi did not know, her instincts of a woman made her immediately notice that besides the loneliness she felt coming from Mo Su beside her, she also felt grief, one that she could not describe. You. Han Kangzi was momentarily stunned. She was an intelligent woman. Almost in an instant, she could guess that perhaps one of her words was the source of Mo Su's grief. Could it be promise? Han Kangzi did not speak. Promise. Su Ming felt a stab of pain in his heart. His body did not tremble, but that grief still emerged without control. That word held a special meaning to him. There was once a girl who stood in the snow and smiled as she looked at him. If we continue walking in this snow, can we walk until our hair turns white? There was once a girl who let him carry her on his back. Their hearts seemingly beat at the same pace, and the face buried in his back turned red. Can we walk in circles together? There was once a girl who stood in the snow and bit her lips as she swept away the snow on his clothes with beautiful eyes that shone with a wild charm. Su Ming, this is a promise. I'll wait for you. That was a promise, and Su Ming was a person who did not fulfill that promise. It's almost been 5 years. Perhaps, it's more than 5 years. The pain in Su Ming's heart grew, along with bitterness. There were a lot of types of grief in the world. Perhaps his was not the deepest. But if the deepest grief was the separation between the living and the dead and the separation due to time, then Su Ming's wound was one where it was unknown whether the separation between the living and the dead and the separation of time existed. This was a pain stemmed from a wound that was coupled with bewilderment. I'm sorry. Han Kangzi bit her lips and spoke softly. She could not understand Su Ming's pain, but she could feel the grief he felt at the moment. What promise? Su Ming's voice became hoarse. He looked at Han Kangzi standing before him and at the face that did not belong to the one he was familiar with, covered by the black strands of hair lifted by the wind. For a brief moment, he thought he saw Bai Ling. They were from different periods of time, from different places, and different people, but they said the same word, promise. Help me kill Sai Ma Xin. Kill him, and I will tell you everything I saw. Han Kangzi said softly. The moment she said Sai Ma Xin's name, her breathing instantly quickened and she clenched her right hand instinctively. Who's Sai Ma Xin? Those subtle movements did not escape Su Ming's eyes. He's revered as the one person with the highest amount of potential in the history of Freezing Sky Clan. He heard the roar from the soul of the second god of Berserkers during the day of eternal creation and is known as one of the people with the highest chance to become the fourth god of Berserkers. He's my senior fellow disciple. He's also the one who injured Fang Mu. Han Kangzi lowered her head and whispered. Su Ming looked at Han Kangzi calmly. He did not speak. I know you must be dubious. With Sai Ma Xin's identity and his power, why should he harm a child like Fang Mu? Han Kangzi lifted her head. Under the moon, though she might not be extraordinarily beautiful, but she could make people's hearts pound. However, Su Ming was not one of them. Continue. Su Ming lifted his head and looked at the moon in the sky. Have you ever heard of the great art of heartless berserker seed? This art was created by the second god of berserkers, and Sai Ma Xin is practicing it. Ever since the second god of berserkers created this art, no berserker had ever been able to perfect this art and could not use it to its full potential. They could not become heartless, that's why they could not use it to their full potential. Once this art is perfected, all the power from the berserker seeds the caster chose will be offered to him. The second god of berserkers used this art in other worlds and attained his status as a god of berserkers. Xianxia does indeed have shocking potential. He was originally a passionate person, so he approached this art using another way. He could plant love in another person's heart. So he separated the berserker seed into seed and love, because if he had no love, then he would be heartless. The elder once observed Fang Mu's potential when he was born and recognized him as the future hope of Tranquillese tribe. And Xianxia also came to Han Mountain City with Freezing Sky Clan to choose disciples. Fang Mu became his berserker seed, and he planted love in me. Han Kangzi spoke calmly as if she was not talking about herself. Yet the calmer she presented herself, the more Su Ming could feel the hatred in her heart. Fang Mu isn't injured. His Xianxia's berserker seed. If you heal him, then you'll offend Xianxia. Su Ming remained silent and looked at Han Kangzi. He did not fully believe in her words. If Fang Mu is the future of Tranquillese tribe, then why didn't Tranquillese tribe do anything when this happened? How can we do anything? Even my brother, who's the tribe leader, doesn't know about this. He thinks that Fang Mu is injured by someone. The only ones who know about this in the entire Tranquillese tribe are the elder and me. He won't do anything about this. Even if my brother knows about this, he will choose to remain silent. Xianxia has a lot of berserker seeds. Becoming his berserker seed and offering their power to help with the birth of the fourth god of berserkers is seen as a glorious thing in the eyes of many people. I don't even know whether Fang Mu would treat this as a glory if he knew about the truth, but I don't agree to this. Han Kangzi lifted her head and she looked at Su Ming with her beautiful eyes. Don't you think so? Su Ming did not reply. Not only do the berserker seeds think of this as a glorious thing, even those who are planted with love like me treat this as a glory. But we are no longer the berserker tribe led by the first or second god of berserkers. This is a sick berserker tribe, a berserker tribe where everyone is asleep, a berserker tribe that treats sacrifice and slavery as something glorious. Han Feizi won't be able to escape from this fate either. Han Kangzi's words started coming out rapidly. Su Ming looked at her. Her words made him think that there was something different about this woman. How can I trust you? After a long while, Su Ming asked languidly. Han Kangzi fell silent for a moment and a red flush appeared on her face. She took a look at Su Ming before she gritted her teeth. Chapter 172, The Chains of Han Mountain in the Rain. Come with me. Han Kangzi retrieved Tranquillese tribe's map and stood up. The flush on her beautiful face darkened, even her ears turned red, arousing a strange feeling within all those who saw her. Su Ming was taken aback. He did not understand what was going on with this woman. Han Kangzi's heart was pounding as she moved up the mountain of Tranquillese tribe from another direction. She looked graceful from the back, and as she walked, her elegance could be seen from her movements. Su Ming lifted his hand to rub his nose instinctively, but he only touched the mask. He laughed bitterly and stood up to follow Han Kangzi. He still could not understand why she would show such an expression. Han Kangzi did not say a word, and neither did Su Ming. The two of them moved along another path to the top of the mountain. Before long, a mountain cave appeared in the forest before him. The mountain cave was well hidden. Unless someone was familiar with the area, they would be hard-pressed to find the cave. No one will come here. I treated this place as my playground when I found it accidentally when I was young. When I grew up, I still came here often alone. I placed some Freezing Sky Clan shields here. It's very safe. Han Kangzi did not turn her head back outside the cave. She had her back towards Su Ming as she spoke quietly. Su Ming frowned. He looked around the area and spread out the branding art as he stared at Han Kangzi silently. Come in. Han Kangzi gritted her teeth once again and moved into the cave. Su Ming hesitated for a moment. Once he was certain there was nothing out of place around the area, he walked in. The cave was not big. It was about the size of a room, but was a little on the dark side. Yet Su Ming could still see what was inside clearly, albeit not as clear as he could during the day. Did you bring me here to? Su Ming frowned and spoke, but his words suddenly faltered. He instinctively took a few steps back and stared at Han Kangzi dumbly, unable to say another word. Han Kangzi still had her back turned towards him, but as he spoke, she lifted her hands and removed her robes, showing off her beautiful back. During the moment Su Ming was stunned, Han Kangzi took off all her clothes with a shiver, revealing a perfect woman's back. The curves, the exquisite skin tone, the thin hair which Su Ming could see rising up on her skin due to her trembling, and the curve on her back that took a breathtaking dip on her waist which later rose in a wide arc at her posterior, all drew out a picture that left Su Ming with his jaw falling slack. Su Ming took a few more steps back, staring at Han Kangzi, not knowing what to say. This is my proof. Han Kangzi trembled and turned around with her arms covering her chest. Tears fell from her eyes, but she looked at Su Ming resolutely. You saw the berserker seed in Fang Mu. I didn't lie about what happened to him. As for me, Sai Marsh implanted love in me, but only in my heart. I can give you my body. Although it won't break the love he planted in me, it's the only way for me to make you trust me. Su Ming remained silent. He swept his gaze across Han Kangzi's body and did not speak even after a long time. Han Kangzi stood in the cave quietly as tears fell from her eyes and she waited. After a moment, Su Ming asked calmly, "Why did you choose me?" "Because I saw some things that I shouldn't have seen in your memories. I believe that you can do it. Even if you can't do it now, you will be able to do it in the future." Han Kangzi looked at Su Ming resolutely. She may have been crying, but there was a determination in her beautiful face that made Su Ming respect her. "How can I trust that you saw my memories?" Su Ming fell silent for a moment to calm the shock brought by Han Kangzi's sudden actions and regain his cool. Void, 4 years, chains, refusal, the head of the second god of berserkers. Han Kangzi said softly. She did not know whether Su Ming had remembered something, but she believed that he would know some of the things she just said. Su Ming took a deep breath to quell the shock in his heart. He looked at Han Kangzi for a long time before walking towards the trembling woman standing before him. As he got closer, Han Kangzi closed her eyes and waited for what would happen next. She was already prepared for it. For the hatred that she had yet to fully disclose, she was willing to give up everything. Su Ming stood before Han Kangzi and an elegant, light fragrance wafted into his nose, as if it was fusing into his body. He looked at this woman, who was completely different from Bai Ling, and the promise she asked of him echoed in his ears. He lifted his right hand and pressed it against the center of her brows. Han Kangzi shuddered. She gritted her teeth and remained still. After a long while, Su Ming crouched down silently and picked up the clothes she removed so that he could drape them around her shoulders and cover her alluring body. "There's no need for this. I've seen the love Sai Marsh implanted in your heart. It came from the same person who planted the berserker seed in Fang Mu, I promise you." Su Ming whispered in Han Kangzi's ear. The moment he finished speaking, he turned around and moved towards the entrance of the cave. Han Kangzi trembled and opened her eyes, staring at Su Ming leaving with a dumbfounded expression. More tears gathered in her eyes. She did not expect Su Ming to leave at this moment. "Freezing Sky Clan has the map you want. I can't get it, but I know it exists," she said instinctively, and her words made Su Ming's footsteps falter. "Thank you. Let's meet in Freezing Sky Clan." Su Ming did not turn back and walked out of the cave. Freezing Sky Clan will only take in Han Fei Zi as their disciple this time. They won't consider anyone else. Even if you challenge the chains of Han Mountain, it'll be difficult for you to join. Han Kangzi did not know why she said those words. She should not have, but she still said them. "I know." Su Ming walked out of the cave. He looked at the stars and the moon in the sky before he left tranquil East Mountain. After a long while, Han Kangzi also walked out of the cave. Her expression showed how conflicted she felt, and she stood there stunned for a moment. "I should be the one thanking you." "Thank you," Han Kangzi mumbled. On that night, Su Ming sat on the mountain from which he had first seen Han Mountain City. From there, he could see the contours of it. The mountain breeze was strong. As it blew past him, the wind lifted Su Ming's hair. During the night, he sat silent and alone on the mountain. He did not look at Han Mountain City, but at the stars in the sky, though not even he himself knew what he was looking for in their glittering shine. "Freezing Sky Clan has the map I need. I have to get into the school. Even if I'm afraid of the truth, I still need to find the map." I can't back down just because I'm afraid. I promised Fang Shen that I would heal Fang Mu's injuries, and it's also a chance encounter between me and that child during these years, even if I have to offend Sai Ma Xin because of this. As for my promise with Han Kangzi, this is a very special woman. She's not unique because of her appearance, but because of her thoughts. I broke my promise once. Let's hope that this time, I will keep my promise, Su Ming mumbled. I can't use the identity as Tranquillese tribe's guest anymore, or else it'll cause trouble. Han Fei Zi will also search for me because of that. There's also the tribe leader of Lake of Colors tribe, Yang Luan. Han Kangzi said that Freezing Sky Clan will only take in Han Fei Zi this time. Even if outsiders challenge the chains of Han Mountain, it'll still be difficult for them to join Freezing Sky Clan. As for this, I will have to make detailed preparations, and if that's the case, I'll have to use a new identity. Qualification: I will simply need to be qualified to enter Freezing Sky Clan. Even if that qualification has already been set, but if I use a different method to obtain it, I will also get different results. I will need to amaze them. A glint appeared in Su Ming's eyes. He stared at the mountain belonging to Puqiang tribe behind Han Mountain City and narrowed his eyes. I already have all the materials needed to create Spirit Plunder, and I've also planted Sky Flute Branch. In a few days, I can start creating the medicine. All I lack now is the Aura of Death needed to create this pill. I need to quench the herbs using the Aura of Death. The moment this pill is created, the punishment for larceny will fall upon me, which I will use the aura to receive the punishment, and when it shatters, the pill will be created. I might be able to use this pill as the material for me to create my origin berserker vessel when I transcend. With a glow in his right hand, a black pearl instantly appeared in his palm. That pearl was the Death Essence Pearl he had obtained from the Puqiang tribe member when he had woken up from the deep slumber induced by the burning of blood. He looked at the pearl for a moment before putting it away. If I challenge the chains of Han Mountain, I must challenge Puqiang tribe's chain. Besides obtaining the right to join Freezing Sky Clan, once I succeed, I can also ask of something from Puqiang tribe. If I use any other method, the closed-off Puqiang will definitely refuse to give me the Aura of Death for me to create this pill. Even if they agree to it, I'll have a lot of setbacks as well. Only by challenging the chains of Han Mountain will I be able to get all these in one go. Su Ming stared at the mountain that belonged to Puqiang tribe basking in the darkness. He could not see its top. There was a thick layer of fog covering the top. As he continued staring at it, resolution appeared in his eyes. On the morning 10 days later, the sky was covered in grey clouds and muffled sounds of thunder rumbling in the sky could be heard. Rain poured from the sky and crashed into the stones on the mountain before they fell to the ground. There were few people walking on the streets of Han Mountain City, and even these pedestrians were wearing bamboo hats and straw capes. Those who have stayed in the city for a long period of time knew that this sort of rainy weather would only pass after several months. Even the occasional sunny days would not last for long. The three tribes were quiet as usual during this rainy morning. The three-colored layers of fog surrounding the three mountains still filled the air and enveloped the mountains, causing them to still remain as mysterious as ever. On this day, a person walked towards Han Mountain City from afar. He was the same as the other people. He wore a straw cape and a bamboo hat. His face could not be seen clearly. The only thing that could be seen on him was the black robes underneath his bamboo hat and straw cape. He quietly came forth and walked into the gates leading to Han Mountain City. He stepped on the puddles and welcomed the rain as he walked on the streets and along the mountain path until he reached the stone gate leading to the third layer of the city. It might be raining, but there were still people from the three tribes standing at the rain shelter outside the gate. They were yawning, and as usual, were selling the plates leading into the third layer of the city. Fang Lin was also there. He was the first to see that slightly unusual person walking forth from afar. With the lesson he had learned that one time, he had become much more cautious. He looked at the person walking forth unhurriedly. Before that person entered the door, he paused for a moment and looked at him. Fang Lin immediately put on a smile on his face. This was the smile he learned to have after what he experienced that year. Soon after, that person who wore the ordinary-looking straw cape walked into the stone door, and immediately, a shocking ripple appeared on the stone door. Transcendence. Fang Lin immediately perked up, but for some unknown reason, once he did so, the image of that person kept repeating in his head. He had a feeling that the person seemed rather familiar when he stopped just now. Chapter 173, the desire to amaze. It might have been morning, but it was raining heavily. The sky could not be seen clearly. Dark clouds covered the sky so thickly it covered the originally bright sunlight. Albeit the land was not entirely dark, it was still marginally so. There were even fewer people walking on the streets in the third layer of Han Mountain City. Rain pattered on shop roofs and flowed down along the funnels on both sides of the roofs to eventually blend with the puddles on the ground, mixing the old water with the new. The shopkeepers were all either dozing off or sitting cross-legged to train. There were only some who stood at the entrance to their shops looking at the rain as various thoughts raced in their heads. Su Ming walked amidst the silence of the rain, breathing in the humid morning breeze as he traversed the streets of the third layer of Han Mountain City. No one could see his face. They could only see his slightly forlorn figure walking through the rain. He did not attract much attention as he walked past these shops. Sometimes, however, when he walked into the field of vision of those who were looking at the rain, he would attract their attention, though it was perhaps just that he broke their train of thought as they admired the scenery. Nonetheless, they only cast him a glance before paying no more attention. No one could guess what that forlorn figure wanted to do and what sort of shock he would bring to Han Mountain City that morning. Su Ming walked forth in silence along the path until he reached the entrance to the second layer. He looked around him and found that he was the only one there. There was no one else around him. There was still a huge gate serving as the entrance to the second layer. Originally, only the transcended guests of the three tribes could enter, but now that the three tribes had dismissed all their guests, only those who had transcended could enter. Without accounting for the people from the three tribes, there were only 5 people who could enter the second layer in the entire Han Mountain City. There was a huge bell about hundreds of feet tall to the right of the entrance. This ancient bell was entirely red-violet. There seemed to be rusted spots covering its surface, and it exuded an old and aged presence, as if it had been placed there for a very long time. There were 3 bizarre and ferocious-looking beasts carved on the surface of the ancient bell. One of them was the dragon clam, another the alpine dark turtle, and the picture of the last creature had already faded out due to time. It could not be seen clearly, but the creature was clearly the leader of the 3 beasts. Based on their positions, it looked as if the dragon clam and the alpine dark turtle were beneath that last ferocious beast in an act of subservience. The bell was covered in water. Raindrops produced a soft patter as they fell on the surface of the bell and flowed down along its edges. Su Ming stood by the stone gate leading to the second layer as he looked at the gigantic ancient bell before him. His eyes, which were hidden under the bamboo hat, gradually lit up. He had been walking unhurriedly, his footsteps slow, but every single step he took was steady and stable. He was also gathering up the qi in his body. He had been doing so since the foot of the mountain, and with each step he took since he stepped into the 4th layer of Han Mountain City. It was as if he was accumulating his energy, as if he was a sword being sharpened. Right then, that energy was ready to be used, the sword was sharpened. The energy was just waiting to burst out and amaze the world, the sword just waiting to let out a bright and chilling glare. Besides asking the people from the 3 tribes for help like how He Feng had done it when he asked Han Feizi for help to get to Han Mountain summit, there's another way to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. This method is for all the berserkers who came to Han Mountain City. We have to ring this bell. We have to make the bell chimes spread all around the region to spread the news that we are going to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Su Ming looked at the bell silently, and the light in his eyes grew brighter. He had asked He Feng about the chains of Han Mountain a long time ago and knew this bell would not sound for those with ordinary levels of cultivation. This was also to prevent those who did not have enough power from dying when they challenged the chains of Han Mountain and wasting everyone's time, along with sullying the might of the chains of Han Mountain. Only those who can make the bell chime 9 times have the right to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Since my goal is to amaze these people so as to get into Freezing Sky Clan, then I must go rampant. Su Ming mumbled. His quiet demeanor suddenly changed in the rain. A shocking presence erupted forth from within him like a sword that had left its scabbard, as if half his energy had been let loose. As that presence rose up, coincidentally, a muffled roar of thunder rang in the sky. A bolt of lightning hidden in the sky let out a bright flash. As that bolt of lightning lit up the sky, Su Ming lifted his right hand. He looked at the gigantic ancient bell before him and took a deep breath before he slammed his right hand against it. Dong! The bell's chime was like a roaring wave. The sound was muffled and contained a feeling of ancientness, as if it was a sound that came from a long time ago. A ripple that could barely be seen with the naked eye appeared abruptly from the bell, and along with the sound, it spread out in all directions. The ripple was invisible, but it touched Su Ming's clothes, causing him to feel as if a huge force had just impacted his body, trying to push him away from the ancient bell. The instant the bell chime reverberated in the air and spread through the entire Han Mountain tribe and the 3 tribes, it startled countless people who were sitting and meditating in the quiet, rainy morning. Those are Han Mountain bells chimes. Someone wants to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Didn't I say it? The closer we get to the day Freezing Sky Clan comes, the livelier Han Mountain City will be. HMPH, it's just one bell chime. You only have to the right to challenge the chains if the bell rings 9 times, or else, you'll need the acknowledgement by the 3 tribes for them to send you straight to the summit to challenge it. Don't bother. That bell has been ringing for who knows how many times since the past few months, but no one has managed to make it past 6 chimes, and the bell's going to continue ringing for the foreseeable future. Joining Freezing Sky Clan is something that will make someone throw out everything they've got, after all. Han Mountain City started getting lively. Quite a few people walked out into the streets and looked at the place where Han Mountain Bell was located at the 3rd layer. However, as the rain was too heavy, these people only cast a glance at it before they hurried back into their houses. The powerful transcended berserkers staying in the 2nd layer of Han Mountain City, including Nan Tien and Ku Ju Sai, heard the bell chimes, but they did not go out to look. Nan Tien smiled faintly and paid no heed to it. Ku Ju Sai did not even open his eyes. He sat in his house quietly, as if he did not even hear the bell chimes. Xian Lun and the other 2 powerful transcended berserkers reacted mostly in the same manner. Even if the bell rang 6 or 7 times, it would still not catch their attention, much less one bell chime. As for the 3 tribes surrounding Han Mountain City, they remained in silence in the rain. It was as if they did not react to the bell chimes, and that was the truth. Most of the people from the 3 tribes did not pay further attention to the chime once they heard it. Among these people were the leaders of the 3 tribes, including Yang Luan. Even Fang Shun only broke off from his meditation and opened his eyes for a brief moment before he closed them once again and resumed meditating. Only Han Fei Zi stood at her window and looked at the rain that seemed to be connecting the sky and the earth, and at the obscured Han Mountain City. The light in her eyes flickered. There was another woman besides her who was also looking at Han Mountain in the rain silently. She was Han Kangzi. The first bell chime was just like a small stone being thrown into water. It only induced a few ripples before the water returned to stillness. In fact, once half the day passed by, very few people would remember the bell chime they heard just now. Su Ming's expression remained passive. The ripple that was formed when the ancient bell before him trembled had dissipated the instant it fused into his body. It did not have any effect on him. The bell chime still lingered and echoed in the air, but besides this lingering chime and the sound of rain falling on the ground, there were no other sounds in the area. Not only did no one come out into the rain to see who rang the bell, even the shopkeepers whose shops in the 3rd layer were close to the bell did not walk out to take a look. Everything remained silent. Su Ming lifted his right hand from the bell, and without any surge of emotions in his heart, he placed it down once more. Dong! The 2nd chime reverberated in the air, and at the very moment it rang out, Su Ming's gaze became as sharp as a sword out of its scabbard. With a freezing glint in his eyes, he slammed his right hand onto the gigantic ancient bell once again. Dong! 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 4 consecutive chimes rang in the air. With the previous 2 chimes, it was now 6 chimes. The ancient sound that exuded a presence of age seemed to have joined together to turn into a sound that shook the hearts of all those who listened. It even replaced the rumbling thunder in the air, becoming the only sound that surrounded the entire Han Mountain City and the mountains of the 3 tribes at that moment. Han Mountain City was shocked. The expressions of those who had already returned to their houses changed immediately once they heard the bell chimes that were seemingly blended together. Even the shopkeepers in the 3rd layer of Han Mountain City felt shaken to the cause. Some had walked out and cast their eyes towards the entrance leading to the 2nd layer, where the bell was located. Seriousness appeared even on Nan Tien and the others' faces in the 2nd layer. The meaning of sounding the bell in sequence and sounding the bell multiple times in one go until the chimes seemed to blend together was completely different. There was also a huge contrast in the rebound that the person had to suffer. The 3 tribes in the mountains were also in an uproar when these bell chimes reverberated through the air. Yet at that moment, the 7th bell chime rang out, and at the very instant it emerged, the 8th and 9th bell chimes arose with the might of a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds in the sky and the force of a great flood from the ancient bell in Han Mountain City, echoing in the sky with a power that caused the sky to shake and the earth to tremble. The people in Han Mountain City only recovered from the shock after a moment. They burst into an uproar, like a wild beast that was jolted awake from its slumber. 9 chimes. Was that really 9 chimes? It's too sudden. Those aren't just 9 chimes, but 9 chimes that were practically fused together when they appeared. This person is definitely not some common lightweight. We have to watch this person challenging the chains of Han Mountain. Who is it? Who could that person be? Could it be one of the 5 transcended berserkers? Most of the people from Han Mountain rushed out of their houses and were all looking towards the 3rd layer in the rain. Some had even ran out to see who was the person who had made the bell sound 9 times. At the same time, Nan Tien and the others in the 2nd layer of Han Mountain City stood up promptly. With one swift move, they left their houses and stared at the exit leading to the 3rd layer. Behind that stone gate were the giant bell and the person who had sounded it. In the mountain belonging to Lake of Colors tribe, Yang Luan stood up. With a calm expression, she walked out of her house and looked at the city submerged in rain. With her power, she could vaguely see layers upon layers of ripples spreading out from Han Mountain City and pushing the rain. In that instant, Han Mountain was without rain. Finally, there's someone who's actually good challenging the chains of Han Mountain. Send orders for someone to send a plate allowing the challenger to the top of Han Mountain. Her tone was relaxed, as if there was nothing that could excite her, but also as if even if there was someone who managed to ring the bell 9 times, it would still not be able to make her amazed. However, that was the extent of her speech. Before she completed her sentence, for the first time, a sound that made her expression change rang out from Han Mountain City. Dong! 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 11, 12 chimes reverberated in the air suddenly. At the same time, the howl of a beast could be heard in the dark and cloudy sky above Han Mountain City. The sound shook the sky, and as the howl started, the apparition of a gigantic ferocious beast with the head of a dragon and body of a clam manifested before everyone's eyes. What is this person's level of cultivation? How did he manage to sound the bell 12 times and summon the shadow of Han Mountain's sealed beast? Yang Luan's breathing quickened and a bright glint appeared in her eyes. Chapter 174, Alpine Dark Turtle. On the mountain where Lake of Colors tribe was located was Han Fei Zi, who stood in her house, looking as if she could see the person who was silently sounding the bell in the city. There was a bright glint in her eyes as she stared at Han Mountain. The person may have been hidden by the fog, but she could already vaguely guess that this person might be the Mosu she had been looking for a long time. Is it you? Han Fei Zi mumbled. The elder of Tranquil East tribe remained calm as he sat at the top of the mountain. His expression was like the still water in an ancient well. His thoughts were unknown to others. Sitting by his side were the chief of war and Tranquil East's tribe leader, Fang Shun. These 3 people were silent as the lingering bell chimes echoed in their ears. Could it be our guest, Mosu? The elder of Tranquil East spoke unhurriedly with a slightly hoarse voice. I can't be certain, but I've already sent people to take a look. Tranquil East's tribe leader replied in a low voice. Elder, should we have someone give this person the plate? The chief of war hesitated for a moment before he looked at Tranquil East's elder. The old man, whose face was covered in wrinkles, had his eyes closed. He did not refuse what the chief of war said, but neither did he agree to it. On the mountain shrouded in black fog was Puqiang tribe. At that moment, there were dozens of obscured silhouettes of people standing in the fog looking in the direction of Han Mountain City. They did speak, but only looked into the distance indifferently. Compared to the silence in the 3 tribes, when the gigantic apparition of the dragon clam appeared in the dark, cloudy sky above Han Mountain City, the people in the city were completely shaken. Numerous people from Han Mountain City rushed out into the rain to see the dragon clam in the sky. All of them felt shaken to the core, and in their ears were the bell chimes that still refused to leave. 12 chimes. Han Mountain bell sounded 12 times. This person is really powerful. He already obtained the right to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Right now, he just needs to wait for the 3 tribes to send their plates, then he can go to the top of the mountain with the plates and challenge the chains of Han Mountain. I thought that 1 bell chime was just an accident, but now it's gone past 9 chimes and sounded 12 times. Who is that? By the looks of it, he's not going to stop just yet. Just how many times will he sound the bell? People ran through the 4th layer of Han Mountain towards the entrance to the 3rd layer. Fang Lin and the others who were waiting at the entrance to the 3rd layer were all shaken to the core when they heard the 12th chime. It was especially so for Fang Lin. He felt his mouth dry up and his heart race against his chest. He had a strong feeling that the person who had sounded the ancient bell 12 times could very well be the familiar figure he saw just now. The people arrived and rushed past Fang Lin, charging straight towards the stone gate before they disappeared inside. Those with the right to enter the 3rd layer went in that morning with only one purpose in their mind. They wanted to see who the person who sounded the bell was. The shopkeepers in the 3rd layer of Han Mountain City were the first batch of people who saw Su Ming standing under the bell wearing his bamboo hat and straw cape. The moment that sight of the unfamiliar person fell into their eyes, these people stopped 1,000 feet away from him. At the 2nd layer's exit were the residents of the 2nd layer, Nan Qian, along with Shen Lun, Ku Ju Sai, and the others. They knew that the person who sounded the ancient bell 12 times was behind the stone gate, but they did not go over. Nan Qian's gaze fell upon the apparition of the dragon clam in the sky before he spoke unhurriedly. 12 chimes, eh? I heard that from among the people who finished walking through the chains of Han Mountain in the history of Han Mountain City, there were 3 who had been able to summon Han Mountain's sealed beasts after they went past 12 chimes. Ku Ju Sai, who was standing beside Nan Qian, suddenly said, "Brother Nan, you forgot one more person." The moment his words left his mouth, Nan Qian's expression immediately changed. He did not speak. Shen Lun also heard his words, since he was not standing too far away. His face turned slightly pale as he remembered something. There were 4 people in the 2nd layer. There was a middle-aged man wearing a green robe standing by the side. This person's clothes were odd. The weather in Han Mountain City was hot. Even if it was the rainy season, the weather was still hot. However, this person's clothes were extremely thick. It was as if he still felt cold even in such sweltering heat. "Brother Ku, is the person you mentioned?" When the middle-aged man in green robes spoke, a white puff of air left his mouth, a clearly different sight from the others around him. If anyone else saw it, they would immediately recognize that this person had the same status as Nan Qian and the others. He was the 4th transcended berserker in Han Mountain City, Leng Ying. "Sai Ma Xin?" Leng Ying asked slowly. "Brother Lang, Brother Yun, the both of you have only come to Han Mountain City recently, so you might not really know this person." Ku Ju Sai cast a glance at Leng Ying and nodded. There was another person called Yun Zong among the 5 transcended berserkers in Han Mountain City. He was the brother Yun Ku Ju Sai spoke of. This person had just left for isolation a month ago to make the final preparations to join Freezing Sky Clan. Sai Ma Xin came to Han Mountain City along with Freezing Sky Clan in the past and sounded the ancient bell. Most outsiders don't know the details. Only the leaders of the 3 tribes and the 3 of us know about this. The person who spoke was the pale-faced Shen Lun. "Oh. Why is it that most outsiders don't know the details if he sounded the bell? The moment this bell chimes, everyone in Han Mountain should know, and if someone like Sai Ma Xin sounds the bell, he'll definitely be remembered." Leng Ying frowned and looked towards Shen Lun. Shen Lun fell silent for a moment. He was about to speak when another chime rang in the air. Dong! Su Ming stood beside the ancient bell. His expression remained passive, but the light in his eyes, which were hidden underneath the bamboo hat, were flickering brightly. The rebound coming from the bell was running foul in his body. He saw the crowd gathering 1,000 feet away from him, and he also saw the people dashing towards him from further away. The gazes were all gathered on him through the sheet of rain. 12 chimes will only startle Han Mountain City. The 3 tribes aren't really reacting. Su Ming lifted his head and looked at the dragon clam that appeared among the clouds in the sky. Besides the initial howl when the beast's apparition appeared, it remained like a being without life, floating in the air unmoving. However, there was still an imposing pressure coming from it. This doesn't fit into my plans. Looks like 12 chimes is not enough to create the shock I want. Then, Su Ming lifted his right hand. This time, he did not slap his hand down. He punched the gigantic ancient bell instead. The instant his fist fell, the 13th chime rang out mightily, turning into invisible ripples that spread out in all directions with a boom. That ripple could not be seen originally, but in the rain, they could see the raindrops gathering together to form a gigantic ring that was spreading outwards swiftly. This ring was spreading out as if it contained the strength of a typhoon that led the wind and rain to turn into a howl that was hidden under the bell chime. All those who were touched by the ripple would find their clothes flapping and their hair dancing. As the sound of the 13th chime still lingered in the air, Su Ming's lifted his fist and brought it down once again. This time, he struck the bell 4 times. If this isn't enough, then I'll make it enough. The straw cape on Su Ming's body was torn into pieces with a ripping sound, revealing the black robe underneath. The bamboo hat on his head did not move an inch and continued blocking his face. The bell chimes shook the sky and the earth. The 4 consecutive chimes formed 4 ring-shaped ripples that spread outwards towards the one ring that was located the furthest away from them and was still traveling out, causing the world to look as if it was a water surface, and Su Ming was the center of those ripples. Han Mountain was trembling, and numerous rocks broke off from the mountain and fell. It felt as if the earth itself was shaking. As the ripples spread out, the crowd standing 1,000 feet away from him withdrew as their expressions changed. At that moment, a muffled roar came from the sky. Life appeared in the dragon clam's eyes. It started moving, and with Han Mountain City as its center, it took a few spins with its gigantic body, causing some of the dark clouds in the sky to dissipate. The roar that came from its mouth shook the ground, and it was so loud it was deafening. A bright sparkle appeared in Su Ming's eyes and he rammed his fist onto the bell once again. The moment his fist touched the bell, the 18th chime sounded with a loud crash. The instant the bell chimes resounded, the dragon clam also reached its limit as it roared. Its body shuddered, and right before the people's eyes, it disappeared without a trace. Yet the moment it dissipated, a piercing howl traveled out from the void in the sky. As the voice thundered, a mountain in the sky that could not be described appeared. The size of the mountain surpassed Han Mountain, and all of the other mountains in Su Ming's memories. This mountain covered the sky and the earth, appearing as an illusion in the air. The top of the mountain could not be seen. The only thing visible was the gigantic turtle underneath the bottom of the mountain. It was carrying the mountain that was as great as the sky on its back. The turtle looked incredibly ferocious. Its face was twisted, and there was the picture of a malicious spirit on it. The turtle was like an evil spirit. It was Han Mountain's second sealed beast carved on Han Mountain Bell. All the people in Han Mountain City who saw this felt their breathing quicken. The things that happened this morning made them feel shaken. It could even be said that most of them had never seen something like this before. If anyone wanted to challenge the chains of Han Mountain, they would need to sound the bell. However, sounding the bell itself was a hurdle to many people. Making the bell chime 9 times was already the limit for them. However, they just heard 18 chimes with their own ears and saw Han Mountain's legendary sealed beasts appearing in the sky with their own eyes. Alpine Dark Turtle. It's said that Han Mountain Bell didn't originally belong to Han Mountain Tribe. When the bell chimes, illusions will appear. I've been in Han Mountain City for many years, and I've heard other people talking about Han Mountain Bell before. There are 3 ferocious beasts carved on the bell, but only 2 can be seen clearly. The last one has faded out. Now, very few people know how that 3rd beast looks like. This person looks unfamiliar, but judging from his power, he must have transcended, or else he wouldn't be able to sound the bell 18 times. 18 times. By his looks, he's clearly relaxed. Look, someone came from the 3 tribes. It's Lake of Colors tribe. The crowd burst into an uproar, and they started discussing amongst themselves amidst their shock. Suddenly, someone let out a cry of surprise. A person charged towards the city from the mountain of Lake of Colors tribe. The The person who came forth was an old man. This man walked in the air. His expression might have seemed calm, but the shock in his eyes was difficult to disguise. Who is the person who sounded Han Mountain Bell? Do you know what the consequences of sounding the bell are? The old man stood in the air and his voice traveled out like thunder. Chapter 175. Priceless Treasure. To challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Su Ming did not turn his head back. Instead, he lifted his right fist once again and punched the bell, causing the 19th chime to ring in the air. The moment the bell chime resounded, ripples reverberated through the air, gravel rolled down the mountains, and the alpine dark turtle in the sky let out a sharp howl once again. 19 times. Just how many times is he going to sound the bell? What is his limit? Does he still want to challenge the chains of Han Mountain? If he gets hurt when he rings the bell, then he'll definitely die when he challenges the chains. This person is running rampant. Look, Lake of Colors tribe has already sent someone here, but he still made the 19th chime when he answered. Sounds of discussions whirled up like a typhoon. As the sounds reverberated through the air, the old man from Lake of Colors tribe cast a deep look toward Su Ming before he took out a plate from his bosom and threw it to him. By the orders of the tribe leader, we have acknowledged your right to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Lake of Colors tribe awaits your arrival. When he saw Su Ming accepting the plate, the old man turned around and turning into a long arc that charged towards Lake of Colors tribe to report back. The people who had been silent in the three tribes found themselves unable to remain silent any longer. Right after Lake of Colors tribe, a long arc also whistled into the air from the mountain belonging to Tranquilise tribe. The person inside the arc was the chief of war. He came personally, and as he closed in on Han Mountain, the crowd gathered around the area immediately looked up. Tranquilise tribe's chief of war. He came personally. Of course he would. This is the person who sounded the bell 19 times. As Tranquiliste's chief of war approached, he did not stand in midair. He descended and stood 100 feet away from Su Ming. He looked at him and light flickered in his eyes. After a long while, he wrapped his fist in his palm toward Su Ming. By the orders of my elder, we acknowledge your right to challenge the chains of Han Mountain. Tranquiliste tribe awaits your arrival. As he spoke, Tranquiliste's chief of war brought out a plate and handed it to Su Ming respectfully. Once he did so, he gave Su Ming a profound look before he turned around and charged back. He recognized this person before him. It was Mo Su. However, he did not want to offend this person, especially since he sensed that there was a startling similarity in the presence between the current Mo Su and Sai Ma Xin. A thought emerged in his head, and it made him even more reluctant to offend him. There's only Puqiang left from the three tribes. By right, Puqiang tribe should be sending someone here by now. It's a pity that once Puqiang sends someone here, this mysterious challenger might stop ringing the bell and we still won't be able to see the third beast on Han Mountain Bell. Su Ming stood by the bell and did not sound it again. He could feel that the rebound from the bell was becoming stronger. The 20th chime would definitely not be easy. Once he sounded the bell, that rebound would affect him. The time it takes to burn an incense stick passed by in the blink of an eye. During that time, more people gathered around the area. Eventually, most of those who could not enter the third layer clustered outside. Their gazes gathered on Su Ming and did not move for a long time. It was as if they wanted to see through the bamboo hat and the black robes to get a clear look of his face, and to see just who he was. He sounded the bell 19 times. If he is successful in challenging the chains of Han Mountain, then this person's fame will definitely be as bright as the sun at noon. He might even be able to enter Freezing Sky Clan. There's no need for that. He's already famous. It's odd though, why hasn't Puqiang tribe sent anyone here? The sounds of discussions buzzed in the air. Many people cast their gazes towards the black fog-shrouded mountain belonging to Puqiang tribe. Su Ming frowned slightly. He had waited for the time it takes to burn an incense stick, but Puqiang tribe still remained silent. I don't have much contact with Puqiang tribe, and I don't really understand this tribe, but I can feel that this tribe is very mysterious. Su Ming lifted his head and looked at the mountain belonging to Puqiang tribe. The fog in the mountain was very thick and filled with the air of death. They waited for a little while longer, and gradually, the crowd realized that something was wrong. They looked towards Puqiang Mountain. Even the leaders of Lake of Colors tribe and Tranquil East tribe cast their gazes towards Puqiang. They're imposing their might using the situation. A freezing look appeared in Su Ming's eyes as he stared at Puqiang Mountain. He had a vague inkling of Puqiang tribe's goal. They wanted to use this chance by not giving him the plate to show off the tribe's mysteriousness and power. The more Puqiang remained silent, the more they would catch the people's attention. They would not refuse him the plate, but they would make Su Ming wait longer to elevate their own status. Puqiang tribe has gone overboard. Yang Luan averted her gaze from Puqiang Mountain and said calmly. The same words were spoken by Tranquil East tribe's elder. At that moment, the black fog surrounding the mountain of Puqiang tribe tumbled, and someone walked out from within. That person wore a black robe. He had an obstinate look on his face as he charged towards Han Mountain City. Then he stood in the air above Han Mountain and lowered his head to cast a glance at Su Ming standing beside the bell below him. The elder is still in isolation. Please wait for a little while longer. Once he spoke, the crowd immediately fell silent and cast their gazes towards Su Ming. Su Ming did not speak. His face, which was hidden under the bamboo hat and the black robes, caused them to be unable to see his dark demeanor, but they could still feel a chilling air gathering around Su Ming. Isolation? If that's the case, then I'll just have to wake him up. Su Ming's hoarse voice echoed in the air. This was the first time he spoke since he came to the place. The moment his words left his mouth, Su Ming swiftly lifted his right fist and punched the bell. Dong! The 20th chime. The ancient bell trembled, and under that one punch from Su Ming, it swung to the back, and a strong sound that surpassed the volume of all the other previous chimes resounded in the air. The sound traveled in all directions, and the 21st chime followed soon with a sound that shook the sky and earth. Su Ming lifted his head swiftly with shock in his eyes. The force of the rebound crashed into his body, and he staggered a few steps back. The bamboo hat shattered into pieces with a bang, but his black robes continued hiding his face, and the people still could not see it. How could this be? Su Ming felt shaken. The two bell chimes fused together and spread out in the air above Han Mountain City like a roar. At the same moment the ripples rolled out horizontally. Not only did the rain still, even the alpine dark turtle in the sky trembled and howled as a strange glow appeared in its eyes. The direction in which it howled was Puqiang Mountain. As it howled and the two chimes blended together, the two sounds turned into one that came out of thin air, a vague existence that did not seem to belong to the world and seemed to come from a distant place. 9. That sound was like a bell chime, but also like the howl of the dark turtle. It sounded muffled, but the moment it spread out, a shocking boom came from within the black fog of Puqiang Mountain. The entire fog enveloping that mountain instantly burst apart when this sound resounded. It turned into countless black wisps that tumbled backwards, revealing most of Puqiang Mountain, which was usually hidden under the fog. The sudden change shook the hearts of the crowd. Amidst their shock, they fell into dead silence. They did not know what had happened. They did not know why the bell chime this time would hold such astonishing power. The fused sound contained a power that dissipated half of the power protecting the mountain of Puqiang tribe. The entire area was in silence. The Puqiang tribe member in black robes in midair was dumbstruck. There was disbelief on his face, even a hint of fear. Yang Luan widened her eyes on Lake of Colors Mountain. For the first time, she trembled. Her expressions changed rapidly and her breathing quickened as she stared at Han Mountain City. He activated Han Mountain Bell's power. Han Feizi's eyes were sparkling on the same mountain at the same time. She felt shaken when she felt that burst of power. Without any hesitation, her body swayed, and white clouds appeared under her feet, after which she charged towards Han Mountain from Lake of Colors Mountain. She wanted to see whether this person was the Mo Su she had been waiting for. On the mountain of Tranquil East tribe, the expression of Tranquil East's elder was originally calm, but at that moment, his pupils shrank. He stood up swiftly and stared at Han Mountain summit as he took in a sharp breath. A brilliant light appeared in his eyes. I've always thought he was very similar to Sir Sai Ma. Sir Sai Ma managed to activate Han Mountain's power in the past and obtained his serendipity. Mo Su also managed to do the same thing. Han Mountain Bell, oh Han Mountain Bell. You've been in Han Mountain for numerous years, and even Han Mountain's ancestor had been unable to obtain your inheritance and your blessing. Many years passed, and only Sir Sai Ma had been able to obtain part of your inheritance that year. And now, this Mo Su, on Tranquil East Mountain, Han Kangzi clenched her fists. A thrilled look appeared in her beautiful eyes. She knew that this time, she did not choose wrong. On their mountain, Puqiang tribe was also in a state of shock. Commotion erupted among the people in the mountain. As the protective mist dissipated, the elder of Puqiang tribe found himself unable to continue maintaining his cool. The skeletal old man in purple robes had an astonished look in his dull eyes. Give him the plate. Su Ming's heart raced against his chest. He looked at the lightly swaying Han Mountain Bell before him and took a deep breath. The moment he hurled his fist forward and his punch landed on the bell, he could clearly feel that some of the qi in his body was sucked into the bell in a mystifying manner. He had only sounded the bell once, but 2 bell chimes resounded instead. He also did not expect the 2 seemingly normal bell chimes would fuse together and burst forth with a force so powerful it dissipated the fog protecting the mountain of Puqiang tribe. This power was definitely not something an ordinary transcended berserker could do. An incredible and unthinkable amount of power would be needed to dissipate the power protecting the mountain of a middle-sized tribe in one go. Su Ming's heart raced even faster. This Han Mountain Bell. Could it be a priceless treasure? At that moment, when Han Mountain City was in a state of shock due to the bell chimes, there was a mountain shining with the 7 colors of the rainbow in a spot located far away from Han Mountain in the land of South Morning. The 7 colors constantly shone brilliantly no matter the time on the mountain. The light from the 7 colors had replaced the colors of the sky. At the foot of the mountain was a pavilion. Black and white chess pieces spread on the stone table in the pavilion like the stars in the sky. A man and a girl sat inside and were both looking at the chessboard. The man wore a green robe. His face was as fair as jade, his eyes like stars, and he had an extraordinarily handsome face. There was also an indescribable air around him, making him seem lonely, but it was also like an air of serenity. There was a red line about the length of half a finger at the center of his brows. He took a white piece and was just about to place it down when he suddenly frowned and looked towards the horizon in the distance. Big brother Sai Ma, what's wrong? The girl's chin was resting on her hands. She lifted her he, revealing a face that was not exceedingly beautiful but had something wild about it. If Su Ming was there and saw the woman, he would definitely be so shocked he would seem like lightning had just struck his soul, and be filled with disbelief. We have concluded chapter 175. The storm is no longer just a threat, it is on the horizon, and Su Ming is the lightning rod at its center. Thank you for joining us in the sanctuary at PandaAudioBooks. If today's chapters left you wanting more, please hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the coming storm. Every like and comment helps our sanctuary grow and allows us to continue bringing a Gen's incredible world to life. What was your favorite revelation in today's episode? Let us know below. Until the next breakthrough, stay true to your pursuit and keep your spirit unshakable.